Maybe I should just play this like normal. I might be able to kill the ghosts by the end. Oh, okay. Just when I was like, let's not just look for missile dampening. We got missile dampening. That didn't work very well. It's a lot of ghosts. Sweet. We might be able to pull those guys back. Crappy walls. Let's go. Should have all the cultists now. Illusions? Yeah, because that is way too low of health. And now the missile dampener is here. What about the other ghost pack? Be able to pull here. Okay. Wow, they almost turned into a yellow wall. I don't know where the yellow... There's the yellow. Clappy ghost. Okay. Not a lot of strategy to this. Everything's kind of so maneuverable on its own. Just gonna try and go around the edge. Got something before the missile dampener, so that's a win in my eyes. Two somethings. Oh, and there he is. And a proc, that's a lose in my eyes. How is a missile dampener still over half health? Is he invincible? Oh no! Ugh. First non-Juliana's death of the season. 128 hours on this character. Alright, so this is what I rebuilt to, and I'm not feeling too upset about these numbers at all for the most part. So we've got plenty of cooldown, so we'll have the 100% Vengeance uptime since we got a 65% Dawn. We've got max cold, max hungering arrow, maybe more area damage than I had before. Crit chance probably a little bit lower. So we're just under 50 and just over 500. Still really good. I feel like I've got a little bit more main stat than I had before, but that generally happens when you have worse gear rolls. So like the most optimal gear rolls on a lot of items, you roll off vitality and sometimes also dex, so you just have like no main stat at all. So I've got a little bit more to work with now, which is good because I think my all res is a bit worse than it used to be. I'm up to 1008 minimum, and I've got some extra rolls of fizz, fire, light, poison. I mean, so like lightning enchanted still is gonna hit really hard. And here's the individual piece of gear. We got our 8 and 20. Everything else is kind of meh. Another kind of sad thing was my shoulders and pants had chance to chill and chance to slow on them before, so I'm sure that gave me more Call of the Week uptime than I'm going to have now. Now it's going to be after I've pulled things, which is usually when I do most of my damage anyway, they'll be slowed, so that'll be Call of the Week. But other than that, it's the Templar has anything near it gets slowed, so those are my main sources of slow. That'll be up all the time on the boss, assuming that that counts as a slow on the boss. So yeah, good offensive stats, non-ancient, oh well, it's still really well rolled. And I was using this until I found a Primal Dawn that I was sticking with because it had life per hit as a third roll. So not like much of a downgrade going to this. Really good rolls. Here we've only got 190. But we do have all res, which is nice because it's hard sometimes to get a hold of all res. You might have Dex Vit 15% life in a single res. Like that's also typically acceptable, but if you do that too many times, like if you don't get all res on your pants, which this time I couldn't get, last time I had pants with all res, and then you also don't have it on your belt, and then you also don't have it on your chest, it's like, where do you have it still at that point? Maybe you don't have it on your bracers either. Yeah, so I'm glad I got on the belt. Well-rolled boots, just probably a little bit lower than the old ones. Apart from the base damage, this is a really nice Valas. So if I had more base damage on my rings, that would help it out. But this kind of makes up for it. So between them, they just have like a nice ancient number. It's just this one's a bit low, but getting the max area and cooldown is nice. And going overboard on the cooldown isn't useless because potentially maybe I'll be able to do the wolf uptime a little bit easier, but also that means more smokescreen uptime, so it's actually a defensive boost for me to raise my cooldown. Nice rolls, a little low on the crit damage, but 15% crit damage is not that huge overall to have max area, max crit chance. Also, it doesn't have a single res. Being able to pick up one of those ones I'm really low on here would have been nice, but I'll take all this offense and a nice AUG. These are what I was using before I switched to some with all res, but basically like they came with vitality where I now have life per hit. I'm like, that's kind of everything I want already, so I decided to roll them to life per hit. It's definitely more recovery than you get through vitality, roll, and simplicity strength. So if you're in heavy density where you're taking lots and lots of small hits, like this could help you go longer without proccing compared to just a vitality roll that right now would be over 10% more toughness, but that kind of like having that bigger health pool only matters if you're worried about getting one shot by stuff. When it comes to just taking a whole bunch of small hits, like recovery usually pays off better. And then this has got to be very similar to my old necklace. I know it was crit damage, cold, cooldown, probably a single res. So pretty much the same necklace as what I died with. I haven't found an ancient bifecta yet, or I guess you could call it trifecta, but they really only have 2 rolls on them. So yeah, another thing you might have noticed is my main gems are only at 135, 2, and 4. So I'll be doing some 130s to inch those up. I did jump into a 145 already, and I was keeping time on good mobs. I think my damage is a little bit lower than it used to be, and my toughness was higher. So when I tried that, I had another 1,000 in vitality, so I took that out. That'll help a bit. Raising the gem levels will help a bit. And then maybe I'll be back at my old damage. Maybe it'll still be a little bit lower. But 145 would still be plenty doable. I also only saw 2 mob types. I saw slashers and I saw one that's not very good but was on festering wood, so I tried it anyway. So maybe better mob types on those maps would be more of where I'm used to seeing damage-wise. Well, that'll do it for me. I'm going to get back to the grind.